Strobe Studios presents Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger in The Watson Files. Coming to you from the illustrious Strobe Studios in the heart of America, this is Craig Dahlen. Now, let's join the doctor and see what story he has for us today.
Come in.
Good evening, Doctor.
Ah, Mr. Dahlen. I thought that might be you. How have you been?
Very well, and yourself?
Not too bad.
Your arm seems to have healed well.
Yes, it's coming right along.
That's good to hear. I'm excited to hear another mystery.
Yes, I've been debating what story to tell you all week.
And what did you decide?
I think I'll tell you about a case I like to call a scandal in Bohemia.
Sounds intriguing.
Yes, it was uniquely exciting, as you'll see.
Well, shall we get started then?
Indeed. We'll begin tonight's story at Holmes's apartment. I had reluctantly joined him for a demonstration of his latest invention when I was saved by a knock at the door.
So as you can see, Watson, it can read any book you want.
Yes, I see that, but what is the point, Holmes?
Well, think of the time savings. You would never have to read a book again. Just let this little gem do it for you.
But I don't hear anything.
No, it doesn't read it out loud, Watson.
Well, then I don't
It's
see
simply
how...
reading the book into its internal memory.
Which helps me how?
Well, it doesn't, yet.
Uh-huh.
But once I've perfected my brain implantation chip, all this collected information will be able to be written directly onto your frontal cortex.
That's right, the brain implantation chip. And how's that coming along?
Quite well. One of the rats actually survived his treatment the other day.
Really? Well, you're practically there, then.
Would you like to see it?
Actually, Holmes, I'll get it.
Now, who could that be?
Wait, you mean you don't know?
Well, of course not, Watson. I don't have X-ray vision.
But you always know who's at the door.
No, Watson, I always know when you're at the door. That clumsy stomp you call walking is a dead giveaway every time.
Holmes, what are
Weren't you getting the door?
Yes, I suppose. You picked the wrong house, sir.
No, I do not intend any harm.
Then what's with the mask?
I prefer not to be seen here. Are you Spencer Holmes?
No, that would be me, sir. This is my associate, Dr. Jack Watson.
May I come in?
Yes, please take a seat. Watson, put your gun away. And what was your name?
You may address me as the Count von Kram, a Bohemian nobleman. I understand that this gentleman, your friend, is a man of honor and discretion, whom I may trust with a matter of most extreme importance. If not, I should much prefer to communicate with you alone.
It is both or none, sir. You may say before this gentleman anything which you may say to me.
Then I must begin by binding you both to absolute secrecy for 2 years. At the end of that time, the matter will be of no importance. At present, it is not too much to say that it is of such weight that it may have an influence upon European history.
I promise.
And I.
And you must excuse the mask. The august person who employs me wishes his agent to be unknown to you, and I may confess at once that the title by which I have just called myself is not exactly my own.
You don't say.
The circumstances are of great delicacy, and every precaution has been taken to quench what might grow to be an immense scandal and seriously compromise one of the reigning families of Europe. To speak plainly, the matter implicates the great House of Ormstein, hereditary kings of Bohemia.
Yes, I know. If your majesty would simply state your case, I would be better able to advise you.
Well, You're right. I am the king. Why should I attempt to conceal it?
Why, indeed. You no doubt looked into me and were told that I am the most incisive reasoner in the States. You had scarcely spoken before I was aware that I was addressing Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ormstein, Grand Duke of Kassel-Felstein, and hereditary King of Bohemia.
But you can understand that I am not used to doing such business in my own person. Yet the matter was so delicate that I could not confide it to an agent without putting myself in his power. I have come incognito from Prague for the purpose of consulting you.
Well then.
The facts are briefly these. Some 5 years ago, during a lengthy visit to Warsaw, I made the acquaintance of the well-known adventuress Adele Ira. The name is no doubt familiar to you.
Watson, could you look her up in the database, please?
Sure, Holmes. Just give me a minute.
For many years now, I've been compiling my own database of useful information about people and things.
Most impressive.
Ah, here we are. Born in New Jersey, contralto. Prima donna, Imperial Opera of Warsaw.
Ah, yes.
Retired from operatic stage.
Your Majesty, as I understand, became entangled with this young person, wrote her some compromising letters, and is now desirous of getting those letters back.
Well, yes, precisely, but
Was there a secret marriage?
No.
No legal papers or certificates?
No.
Then I fail to follow your Majesty. If this young person should produce her letters for blackmailing or other purposes, how is she to prove their authenticity?
There is the writing.
Writing, schmithing, forgery.
My private notepaper.
Stolen.
My seal.
Imitated.
My photograph.
Surely there are plenty of photographs of you floating about?
We were both in the photograph.
Ah, well, that is bad.
I was young and stupid.
We'll have to recover it.
We have tried and failed.
Have you considered buying it from her?
She will not sell.
Steal it, then.
5 attempts have been made. Twice burglars in my pay ransacked her house. Once we diverted her luggage when she traveled. Twice she has been waylaid. There has been no result.
No sign of it?
Absolutely none.
It is quite a pretty little problem.
But a very serious one to me.
Of course, of course. And what does she propose to do with the photograph?
Ruin me.
But how?
The king is about to be married.
To Clotilde Lothman von Saxe-Meiningen, second daughter of the King of Scandinavia. You may know the strict principles of her family. She is herself the very soul of delicacy. A shadow of a doubt as to my conduct would bring the matter to an end.
And Adele Ira?
Threatens to send them the photograph, and she'll do it. You do not know her, but she has a soul of steel. She has the face of the most beautiful of women, and the mind of the most resolute of men.
I assume, then, that there's also the matter of the negatives to contend with.
No, it was a Polaroid, luckily.
And you are sure that she has not yet sent it?
Yes, she has said that she would send it on the day when the betrothal was publicly proclaimed. That would be next Monday.
Oh, so we have 3 days yet. That's fortunate, as I have 1 or 2 matters of importance to look into at present. Your Majesty will, of course, stay in town for the weekend.
Certainly. You will find me at the Langham under the name of Count von Kram.
Very well. Then I shall update you on our progress.
Please do.
And, as to compensation?
Is money all you ever think about, Watson?
You have carte blanche.
Really?
I tell you that I would give you one of the provinces of my kingdom for that photograph.
And for present expenses?
Will 10,000 suffice for now?
Yes, I think that will do just fine.
Very well, then. I will bid you adieu.
Watson, if you would be kind enough to call tomorrow around 3, I should like to chat this matter over with you.
Well, yes, my afternoon is wide open, but wouldn't you rather get started right away?
Good, then it's settled. I'll see you at 3. Watson!
Holmes! I hardly recognize you.
Yes, well, that is the point of a disguise, isn't it? What are you doing here?
You asked me to meet you here, remember?
Yes, but how did you get inside?
You're not the only one who finds use for a lockpick at times.
You mean you broke into my house?
Oh, don't act all offended now, Holmes.
I'm not offended. I'm surprised that you were successful, actually.
So, anyway, what was the disguise for?
Well, for keeping my identity a secret, of course.
Obviously. But from what?
Well, it is quite funny, actually. I'm sure you could never guess how I employed my morning or what I ended by doing.
I suppose that you've been watching the habits and perhaps the house of a Miss Adele Ira?
I left the house a little after 8 o'clock this morning in the character of a tourist out enjoying the sights.
A tourist?
Yes, which gave me the opportunity to talk with the cabbies as they waited on their fares and gather as much information as I could desire about Miss Ira, to say nothing of half a dozen other people in the neighborhood in whom I was not the least bit interested, but whose biographies I was compelled to listen to.
And what of Adele Ira?
Oh, she has turned all the men's heads down in that pot. She lives quietly, sings at concerts, drives out at 5 every day, and returns at 7 sharp for dinner. Seldom goes out at other times except when she sings. Has only one male visitor, but a good deal of him. He is dark, handsome, and dashing, never calls less than once a day, and often twice. He is a Mr. Godfrey Norton, an attorney.
An attorney? That can't be good.
Yes, he was evidently an important factor in the matter. What was the relation between them, and what the object of his repeated visits? Was she his client, his friend, or his mistress? If the former, she had probably transferred the photograph to his keeping. If the latter, it was less likely. It was a delicate point, and it widened the field of my inquiry.
I see.
I fear that I bore you with these details, but I have to let you see my little difficulties if you are to understand the situation.
I am following you closely.
I was still balancing the matter in my mind when a cab drove up to the house, and a gentleman sprang out. He was a remarkably handsome man, dark, aquiline, and mustached. Evidently the man of whom I had heard. He appeared to be in a great hurry, shouted to the cabman to wait, and brushed past the maid who opened the door, with the air of a man who was thoroughly at home.
I wonder what the fuss was all about.
As did I, but I found out soon enough. He stayed but a half hour and rushed out, jumping into a cab and shouting, "Drive like the devil, first to Gross and Hankey's in Regent Street, and then to St. Monica's in the Edgware Road."
Did you follow him?
Well, I considered it, but Miss Ira soon followed him, jumping into a cab of her own. I only caught a glimpse of her at the moment, but she was a lovely woman, with a face that a man might die for. "The Church of St. Monica's, John," she cried, "and there's an extra 20 in it if you reach it in 15 minutes.
So you followed them to the church, of course.
Indeed, Watson.
And what did you find?
Well, to my surprise, there was not a soul there save the two I had followed, and a priest who appeared to be expostulating with them.
A priest?
Yes, they were apparently intending to marry, as they quickly arrested my attention and dragged me up to the altar as a witness. It was all done in an instant, and there was the gentleman thanking me on the one side and the lady on the other. It was the most preposterous position in which I ever found myself in my life.
Well, this is a very unexpected turn of affairs.
Yes, I found my plans very seriously menaced. It looked as if the pair might take an immediate departure, and so necessitate very prompt and energetic measures on my part. At the church door, however, they separated, he driving back to the office and she to her own house, and I went off to make my own arrangements.
Which are?
Chinese takeout and a glass of beer.
Holmes invited me to join him for an early dinner when he explained his plan.
Well, this certainly is an unusual case, Doctor.
Yes, it was quite unique.
So, how did Holmes intend to retrieve the picture from the newly wedded Adele?
Well, I'm afraid the rest of the story will have to wait, as we're out of time for the week.
Ha, yes, we certainly are. Well, I can't wait to hear what I'm sure will be an exciting conclusion. Tonight's Watson Files adventure was written by Scott Strosahl and was based on an original story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Spencer Holmes and Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger. Additional voices were provided by Steve Rimpici. Until next week, this is Craig Dahlen saying good night from Strobe Studios.
Are you Spencer Holmes?
No. Oh, no, that's not me. That's not me talking.
I was like, really, Watson? No, that would be me, sir. If this young person should produce her letters for blackmailing or other purposes, how is she to prove? And you're sure that... Yes, which gave me the opportunity to talk to the cabbies as they waited. I bloused it up again. Bloused? Wrong word. Loused. That's what I wanted.
Loused it? You put a shirt on it?
Yes, I made it look fancy. A fancy error. I promise.
And I.
Watson, don't you have a Bible app on that phone of yours? Can we promise on that? Watson, could you look her up in the database, please?
Sure, Holmes. Don't know where that came from.
Get the frog out of your throat first.
Sure, Holmes. Just give me a minute. Typity, typity, type.
He was a remarkably handsome man, dark, aquiline, and mustached.
Why is that funny? And mustooshed.
That was luck that we made it through all that unscathed.
Indeed.